Ever get that feeling where you'd love to really get your head around something interesting?
Yeah, but the idea of wading through tons of different articles or videos just feels like a lot.
Exactly. It's overwhelming. That's what we're doing here on the Deep Dive. We take a focused look, use some curated material, and try to bring you the core insights quickly and clearly.
And today we're stepping into the rather charming world of the video game Botany Manor.
We are. And our guide is just one review, a single, really detailed perspective.
Which can be great, actually. Very focused.
Totally. This one's from Actions, published April 17th, 2024. The reviewer played it on an Xbox Series X for about, 3 hours?
Around 3 hours, yeah.
So our mission, if you will, for this deep dive is to unpack that specific experience for you. We want to give you a really solid feel for the game.
You know, what it's about, what makes it interesting.
And maybe help you figure out if it's something you'd enjoy,
Yeah.
all without you having to play it or read a dozen reviews yourself. Think of it as your shortcut to being in the know.
So let's get into it. What is Botany Manor?
Okay, so basically you play as Arabella. She's just come back home from a trip, and she's trying to complete her herbarium.
Which is like a book of pressed dried plants, right?
Exactly. And to do that, she needs to figure out the specific unique conditions to make all these different seeds in her garden actually bloom.
Gotcha. And it's a first-person puzzle adventure. That's the genre.
Right. Now, the reviewer mentioned that at first glance, the graphics, the puzzle nature,
Yeah.
it might make you think of The Witness.
Ah, okay. I can see that. Big atmospheric puzzle game.
Yeah, but what's interesting if they immediately said, hold on, it's actually a very different vibe, not just another Witness-style thing.
Good to know. So what did they like about it? What stood out?
Well, a big thing was the puzzle difficulty. They called the balance very good.
Okay, that's promising. Not too easy. Not pull your hair out hard.
Seems like it. You've got 12 different plants to bloom, and each one needs specific conditions. You find clues around the manor, letters, books, items.
And you piece together what that specific plant needs. Temperature, light, water, something like that.
Presumably, yeah. The review mentioned this core loop. Check the herbarium, gather clues in the environment, figure out the conditions, and then hopefully watch the plant bloom.
And they mention that feeling when it works.
Oh, yeah. They really highlighted that satisfaction, that aha moment when you get it right, which, is always great in a puzzle game.
Definitely. It sounds less about abstract logic puzzles and more about observation and deduction within the world.
Exactly, learning about these plants. And something else that helped, apparently, was the chapter structure.
Oh, how so?
Well, the manor is pretty big, it sounds like, so dividing it into chapters helps you focus. You know where to look for clues for the current set of plants rather than wandering aimlessly everywhere.
That's smart design. Keeps it manageable. Avoids that feeling of being lost.
Right. Stops you getting overwhelmed. Now, this part I thought was really interesting, the narrative.
Okay. It has a story.
It does, but it's subtle. You find letters, books, things like that scattered around.
Yeah.
And through these, you start to get a sense of the time period, the social context, particularly like the role of women back then.
Ah, okay. So it adds depth to Arabella, the main character, her motivations.
Exactly. But the reviewer stressed it wasn't, hitting you over the head with it. It wasn't preachy. Just there, enriching the world and your understanding of her woven in.
I like that approach. When the story comes through the environment and exploration, not just alongside it.
Me too. And the setting itself was a plus. The whole game takes place in this one manor.
Just the one location?
Yep. Which the reviewer felt made it really relaxing. No time limits, no sudden big changes. Just you, the house, the garden, and the puzzles. Very focused.
Creates a kind of intimate feel, I suppose. You really get to know the space.
Yeah, I think so. Now, even though they clearly liked it, they did flag a couple of things. Potential, let's say, drawbacks, depending on your perspective.
Okay, like what?
One was the length versus the price. About 3 hours playtime for around 3,000 yen, which is roughly, 20, 25 US dollars-ish?
Somewhere around there, yeah. So, potentially short for the cost.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Though the reviewer personally wasn't bothered because they played it on Game Pass.
Ah, right.
Right.
That changes the calculation for a lot of people.
Definitely. So it's just something for you, the listener, to consider. How much does playtime per dollar matter to you for a concise experience?
Fair point. What else?
There was one specific puzzle they got really stuck on. Something involving weights and scales.
Oh, dear. The dreaded tricky puzzle.
Apparently, they felt the clues just weren't clear enough for that one part, and they actually had to look up a guide online an overseas one, things.
Okay. It happens. Even well-balanced games can have that one outlier puzzle that just doesn't click for someone.
True. But they did offer a tip. If you get stuck there too, they suggested checking the house's floor plan carefully. Might be hints hidden there.
Good tip. So maybe the clue was there, just easy to miss.
Could be. And it's worth saying again, this is apparently the only puzzle they really struggled with. Mostly, they felt the difficulty balance was good.
Right. It was the exception.
Yeah. And the final little thing they noted was a tiny translation error.
Oh, in the Japanese version.
Yeah, just one incorrect botanical term. But they said it was obvious from context what it meant.
Okay, minor.
Very minor. And actually, they framed it positively. They were impressed that an indie game like this had full Japanese support right from day one.
That is good to see. Shay's commitment.
Definitely. So pulling it all together, what was the final verdict? The overall feeling?
Overwhelmingly positive, it seems. They called it relaxing, enjoyable, perfect for winding down or taking a break from, more frantic games.
It's a palate cleanser almost.
Yeah, exactly. And they recommended it as a good brain stretch, too, because the puzzles, apart from that one, are thoughtful and make you think, but in a pleasant way.
Okay, so for you listening, hopefully this deep dive gives you a pretty clear picture of Botany Manor. You've got the plant puzzle gameplay,
the subtle story elements adding depth, the relaxing single location.
and those points about length versus price, and that one tricky puzzle to maybe watch out for.
Yeah, it should give you enough to judge if it sounds like your cup of tea without you needing to do all the digging yourself.
And really shows how a simple-sounding idea, tending plants in an old house, can actually hide a lot of intricate, rewarding puzzle design.
Absolutely. And that nice layer of historical context, too.
Which kind of leads us to a final thought for you to mull over. What other, seemingly simple settings or everyday activities might actually be hiding really complex puzzles or interesting narratives just under the surface?
Makes you think, doesn't it? About the hidden depths in ordinary things, just waiting to be uncovered.